The courtroom erupts in laughter. Elon Musk, a billionaire, walks in alone, no lawyers, fumbling papers like a fool. But what if this is all part of a brilliant trap? Watch to the end to see the twist of the century. If you love stories of genius, strategy, and unexpected victories, hit like and subscribe for more mind-blowing tales. The spark that lit the fire. The San Francisco federal courthouse loomed tall against the overcast sky, its cold gray facade as unforgiving as the legal battle about to unfold inside. Inside courtroom 7, journalists whispered, their pens tapping anxiously against their notepads. The gallery was packed with tech insiders, business moguls, and legal analysts, all eager to witness a spectacle that could reshape Silicon Valley's balance of power. The case was simple, on the surface. Magnetech Industries was suing Musk Innovations, claiming that the eccentric billionaire Elon Musk had stolen their battery technology, infringing on a patent they had filed just months earlier. The lawsuit was worth billions and had the potential to permanently cripple Musk's company. But for Magnetech's CEO Victor Hammond, this case wasn't just about money. It was about crushing a rival. The man who walked alone. At exactly 9 a.m., the heavy wooden doors swung open. Elon Musk strolled in, alone. No high-powered attorneys, no legal entourage, no one. Just him wearing a simple dark suit, no tie, slightly wrinkled, carrying what looked like a messy stack of crumpled papers. A wave of murmurs rippled through the courtroom. The prosecuting attorney, Dominic Reeves, smirked as he whispered something to his client, Victor Hammond. Hammond, a tall, immaculately dressed man with a CEO's permanent air of superiority, let out a small chuckle. Even Judge Charlotte Whitmore, who had presided over high-stakes corporate battles for 3 decades, raised an eyebrow in amusement. "Mr. Musk," she said, glancing at the documents in front of her, "my records indicate that you are representing yourself today. Is that correct?" Musk nodded, shifting his papers awkwardly. "Yes, Your Honor." A few reporters gasped. Was this a joke? Even the court stenographer paused for a fraction of a second, as if double-checking what she had just heard. This wasn't just a bad idea. It was suicidal. In all her years on the bench, Judge Whitmore had never seen a man this rich act so foolishly. A billionaire standing alone, against an army of corporate attorneys. "A bold choice, Mr. Musk," she said, her voice dripping with skepticism. "Let's hope your strategy is better than your legal representation." Laughter erupted from the gallery. Even one of the bailiffs cracked a grin. Musk, however, simply adjusted his papers and said nothing. He didn't need them to believe in him. Not yet. A wolf in an Armani suit. From the prosecutor's table, Dominic Reeves adjusted his $3,000 tailored suit, pushed up his sleek designer glasses, and strode toward the bench. He was the kind of attorney that big corporations paid millions to keep on speed dial. He had spent years tearing apart weaker opponents, and today was no different. "Your Honor," Reeves began smoothly, "this case is quite straightforward. My client, Magnetech Industries, developed and patented a revolutionary energy storage system after years of dedicated research. Mr. Musk and his company, Musk Innovations, blatantly stole this design and rushed to market with an identical product. We have patents, we have timelines, and we have irrefutable proof. By the end of this trial, the evidence will speak for itself." Judge Whitmore nodded. "Thank you, Mr. Reeves." Then turning to Musk, she asked, "Mr. Musk, your opening statement?" Elon stood and approached the bench, papers fumbling in his hands. Just as he was about to speak, one of his papers slipped from his grip and floated to the floor. A chuckle rippled through the courtroom. Your Honor," Musk began, his voice softer than expected. "I'm here because Magnetech is trying to steal what my team created." He flipped through his papers, losing his place, eyes darting across the pages. "The battery design in question uses a, special coating that—" He paused, looking visibly confused. "I have some diagrams here. Somewhere. One moment, please." The room erupted in laughter. Even Judge Whitmore smirked, covering her mouth. "Mr. Musk," she said, tapping her gavel lightly, "this isn't a rocket launch. In my courtroom, we follow proper legal procedure. Do you have your evidence organized and ready to present?" Musk blinked, then gave a sheepish shrug. I think so, Your Honor. The gallery roared again. From the plaintiff's table, Dominic Reeves leaned back in his chair, a smirk spreading across his face. This is going to be easier than I thought, he whispered to Hammond. But Lila Carter, Musk's chief engineer, sat in the gallery, twisting her hands anxiously. Something felt off. Musk was many things: eccentric, reckless, sometimes a mad genius. But he was never unprepared. So why was he acting like this? The trap is set, Judge Whitmore sighed and gestured toward Reeves. Very well. Magnetech, please present your case. Reeves's team moved swiftly. 3 assistants wheeled in massive boxes of carefully cataloged evidence. A sleek digital presentation lit up on the courtroom screen, displaying Magnetech's patent, dated March 15th. Your Honor, Reeves said, this document proves that Magnetech officially patented this technology before Musk Innovations ever announced their version. Furthermore, we will present expert witnesses who will confirm that Musk's so-called invention is nothing more than a copy of our hard work. The evidence seemed overwhelming. Judge Whitmore glanced at Musk. He was scribbling something in his notebook, but not reacting. She narrowed her eyes. Was he even paying attention? Mr. Musk, she called out suddenly, snapping him from his thoughts. Are you following this? Musk blinked, as if returning from some deep calculation in his mind. Yes, Your Honor. Just, considering the testimony, the judge sighed. Well, consider it more actively, please. This is your company's future at stake. The courtroom snickered again, but Musk simply nodded. And then, for the first time that day, he smiled. It wasn't a grin of arrogance. It wasn't a smile of defeat. It was the smile of a man who knew something no one else did. 6 months earlier, the stolen future. In a high-tech laboratory, bright LED lights illuminated a small metallic device no larger than a shoebox. Musk and Lila Carter stood over it, watching as it glowed blue. Power output at 98% efficiency, Lila whispered. 3 times better than anything on the market. Musk didn't smile, but his eyes burned with excitement. If this works at scale, he said, we could power a house for a month on something the size of a brick. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and frowned. Victor Hammond is here. Lila's smile faded. Why? Musk exhaled slowly. He wants to talk about a partnership. He turned to Lila. Cover this up, now. Because Musk knew exactly what Victor Hammond was after, and he knew that this wasn't just business. It was war. The game of deception. The courtroom's illusion. The following morning, the air inside courtroom 7 was thick with tension. The gallery was packed once again. Reporters, legal analysts, and business insiders all eagerly awaiting the next move in what had already become one of the most bizarre trials in corporate history. The world was watching. Elon Musk sat at the defense table, his papers still in disarray, his posture casual, his demeanor almost detached. If anyone expected a dramatic shift in his approach, they were sorely disappointed. Judge Charlotte Whitmore had seen her fair share of self-important billionaires who thought the law didn't apply to them. But something about Musk bothered her. He didn't seem arrogant. He didn't seem nervous. He just seemed patient. Mr. Musk, are you ready to proceed with your defense? Judge Whitmore asked, half expecting him to fumble through another messy pile of papers. Instead, Musk stood up slowly. Your Honor, I'd like to request a 1-day recess. A wave of murmurs exploded through the courtroom. On what grounds? Judge Whitmore asked, eyes narrowing. I need to reconsider my approach, Musk replied. Given the strength of the evidence against me, I may need professional legal counsel. The room erupted into whispers. He's finally realizing he's outmatched, Reeves muttered to Hammond, suppressing a victorious smirk. We object, Your Honor, Reeves said aloud. Mr. Musk had ample time to prepare for this case. Judge Whitmore sighed, then glanced at Musk. He was staring at the wall again, at that same spot. She didn't know why, but it unnerved her. After a moment's thought, she banged her gavel. Request granted. Court is adjourned until tomorrow at 9 a.m. Musk nodded in thanks, gathered his messy stack of papers, and walked out. The gallery buzzed. The media exploded with speculation. Some thought he was buying time to negotiate a secret settlement. Others believed this was his way of surrendering. No one knew the truth, because this wasn't a delay. It was the setup to a trap. Inside the war room 20 minutes later, in a rented office across from the courthouse, Musk closed the blinds, dimmed the lights, and turned to Lila Carter. "Did you get the security logs?" Lila nodded, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "Got them. Every second of Hammond's visit is here." On the screen, the grainy black and white security footage played back. Hammond's assistant, a slick-haired man in a tailored suit, moved discreetly through Musk's research facility, pausing only to snap photos when they thought no one was looking. Then came the most damning evidence. "There," Musk said, pausing the footage. Hammond himself, peering through the restricted lab window. Lila clenched her fists. "That lying snake. He told the court he had minimal contact with our tech." Musk smiled, a slow, calculated smile. "We're not done yet." He picked up his phone and dialed a number. "It's me. Are you ready for tomorrow?" "Good. Remember, timing is everything." Lila gave him a confused look. "Who was that?" Musk didn't answer. Instead, he reached into a small cardboard box on the table, pulling out a mysterious-looking electronic device. "What is that?" Lila asked. "A demonstration," Musk replied, turning it over in his hands. "For tomorrow." The pressure rises. Meanwhile, inside a high-rise office overlooking downtown San Francisco, Victor Hammond paced furiously. "He's stalling," Hammond snapped, his voice sharp with irritation. "Musk's up to something." "You're overthinking it," Reeves reassured him, sipping a glass of whiskey. "He's just realizing he's in over his head." Hammond stopped and turned. His gut told him something was off. This is Musk. He doesn't give up. He builds rockets, for God's sake. He doesn't just roll over and die." Reeves sighed and set down his glass. "Look, even if he pulls a stunt tomorrow, we have overwhelming evidence. The judge isn't going to throw out patent filings, expert witnesses, and a detailed timeline just because Musk comes in with some brilliant speech." Hammond wasn't convinced, but he had to trust Reeves. The law was on their side. Wasn't it? The call that changed everything back at the rented office. Lila's laptop dinged. She frowned. "We just got an email." "From who?" Musk asked. "Priya Nayar." Musk's eyes darkened. Priya was the missing piece, a former Magnetech executive who had mysteriously resigned just weeks after the company filed the contested patent. No one knew why. Musk had suspected she left because of ethical concerns. Now he was about to find out if he was right. Lila opened the email, and her eyes widened. "Elon, you need to see this." Attached were dozens of internal documents, emails, and memos from Magnetech's leadership, and one stood out, an email from Hammond himself. Subject: Emergency meeting from Victor Hammond to R&D leadership. "After my visit to Musk's facility, I saw something that could change the game. I need your team to reverse engineer what I saw immediately. We need this patented before Musk gets to it. Time is of the essence." Lila stared at the screen, breathless. "This is it. This is the smoking gun." Musk simply nodded. "Now let's make sure we use it at the right moment." The final move. As the sun set over San Francisco, Musk sat alone, staring out the window. Tomorrow everything would change. Magnetech thought they had him cornered. The media thought he was out of his league. Even Judge Whitmore had dismissed him. But tomorrow they would all see the truth. This wasn't a delay tactic. This wasn't an act of desperation. This was the opening move in a long game. And when the trap finally snapped shut, everyone in that courtroom, including Judge Whitmore, would realize one thing. Elon Musk had been in control all along. The breaking point, a game of shadows and smoke. The showdown begins. The next morning, Courtroom 7 was electric with anticipation. The reporters were there, the tech industry elite, even a few Wall Street investors, all drawn to what had transformed from a corporate dispute into a spectacle of high-stakes drama. The general consensus? Elon Musk was going down. Judge Charlotte Whitmore adjusted her glasses as she took her seat, her expression unreadable. She had allowed Musk his one-day recess, But that did not mean she expected anything other than his inevitable defeat. "Mr. Musk," she said, tapping her gavel, "are you ready to present your defense?" Musk stood up, a small cardboard box tucked under his arm. His demeanor? Unchanged. Still calm, still collected, still slightly disorganized, as if he had just rolled out of bed and wandered into a billion-dollar lawsuit. Reeves grinned from the plaintiff's table. "Finally realized you're out of your depth," he muttered as Musk walked past. "Something like that," Musk replied, with a hint of amusement in his voice. Judge Whitmore sighed. "Proceed, Mr. Musk." Then, he dropped the bombshell. "Your Honor, I'd like to call a surprise witness." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Reeves shot up from his chair. "Objection! This is highly irregular." Judge Whitmore held up a hand. "Mr. Musk, who is this witness?" Musk turned to the doors, and at that exact moment, they swung open. Priya Nair walked in. The courtroom exploded. Victor Hammond went pale. Priya was his former head of R&D, the woman who had mysteriously resigned just weeks after Magnetech filed its patent. "This better be good, Mr. Musk," Judge Whitmore warned. "Oh, it will be," Musk said with a small smile. The witness who changed everything. Priya took the stand, her posture rigid. She had been in hiding for weeks, because she knew the truth. "Ms. Nair," Musk began, "until recently, what was your role at Magnetech?" "I was the director of research and development," she said, her voice steady. "And why did you leave?" She hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Because I was ordered to steal Mr. Musk's technology." The courtroom erupted. Reeves was already on his feet. "Objection! Hearsay!" Judge Whitmore banged her gavel. "Order in the court!" She turned to Priya. "Ms. Nair, that is a serious accusation. Do you have proof?" Priya nodded. Musk lifted his phone and pressed a button. The courtroom screen lit up. Emails, memos, meeting notes, and the smoking gun. An email from Victor Hammond himself. "I want this technology before Musk can patent it. Reverse engineer everything. Time is of the essence." A dead silence filled the room. Reeves looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Hammond? He looked like he had seen a ghost. The counterattack Reeves was fast. He had to be. "Your Honor," he began, his voice forced into calmness. "Ms. Nair is a disgruntled former employee. She could have fabricated these emails." "Oh," Musk tilted his head. "Then let's check the metadata." He tapped his phone again. "Your Honor, we had an independent forensic analyst verify that these emails have not been altered in any way." The document popped up on the screen. Official, time-stamped verification. The color drained from Reeves's face. Judge Whitmore leaned back in her chair. She was no longer amused. She was pissed. "Mr. Hammond," she said, "do you wish to explain this?" Hammond opened his mouth, then closed it. For the first time in his life, he had no words. The breaking point. "Your Honor," Musk continued, "this isn't just about invalidating a fraudulent patent. This is about the law itself." He reached into his cardboard box, pulled out a small electronic device, turned it on. A holographic display lit up. On one side, Musk's original battery design. On the other, Magnetech's supposed innovation. They were identical. "As you can see," Musk said calmly, "even the internal structure is a direct copy. The odds of two separate companies creating the same proprietary materials in the same layering sequence are," he turned to the judge, "effectively zero." A long silence. Judge Whitmore turned to Reeves. "Do you have anything to say, Mr. Reeves?" Reeves licked his lips, desperate. We request a recess." Judge Whitmore glanced at Musk. Musk just smiled. "That won't be necessary, Your Honor." The moment of collapse. Victor Hammond was losing control. This was supposed to be his victory. Instead, it was his downfall. He stood up, his face red with rage. "This is a damn setup," he roared. "I won't be railroaded by some—" Judge Whitmore's gavel slammed down. "Enough." She turned to Priya Nair. "Ms. Nair, do you swear under oath that your testimony is true?" "I do." "And Mr. Musk, do you have any final evidence to present?" Musk nodded. "One last thing, Your Honor." He pulled out a leather-bound notebook. Mr. Hammond's personal notebook, Musk explained, recovered from his old office after a water leak. He flipped to a marked page. Saw Musk's new battery tech today. Revolutionary. Need to fast-track our version before he patents it. The exact words from Hammond's email. Reeves sat completely still. Hammond looked like he might throw up. Judge Whitmore exhaled slowly. I'll be taking a 15-minute recess, she said, after which I will issue my ruling. She banged her gavel. The courtroom erupted. Reporters rushed for their phones. Investors whispered frantically. And as the room buzzed with chaos, Elon Musk simply sat back in his chair. He had played the fool. Let them believe he was outmatched. Let them underestimate him. And then, when the moment was right, he crushed them. Hammond stormed out of the room, slamming the doors behind him. Musk just smiled, looking up at that same spot on the wall. Checkmate. The reckoning, a victory that changed everything. The final judgment, the courtroom was silent, the air thick with anticipation. The only sound was the faint tapping of Judge Charlotte Whitmore's fingers against her bench as she reviewed the evidence one last time. She had presided over corporate trials for 30 years, but never one like this. Elon Musk, a billionaire who walked into court alone, seemingly unprepared, had just torn apart an entire legal team, exposed corporate espionage, and dismantled one of the most powerful tech companies in Silicon Valley. And he had done it without ever raising his voice. She lifted her gavel. Court is now in session. All eyes were on her. Victor Hammond sat at the plaintiff's table, his face ghostly pale. Next to him, his lawyer, Dominic Reeves, had his jaw clenched so tight his cheek twitched. Elon Musk sat calmly, his papers finally neatly stacked. For the first time in the entire trial, he looked like a man who had already won. Judge Whitmore adjusted her glasses and spoke. This court has reviewed the overwhelming evidence presented by Mr. Musk and Ms. Nair, including email records, security footage, and proprietary designs. Based on this evidence, it is the ruling of this court that Magnetech Industries did, in fact, engage in willful corporate espionage and fraudulent patent filing. A ripple of gas spread through the courtroom. Victor Hammond's face turned crimson, but he didn't dare speak. Judge Whitmore wasn't finished. As a result, the court officially invalidates Magnetech's patent on the contested battery technology. But then, she leaned forward, her voice steady but sharp as a blade. Additionally, pursuant to Section 47B of the Technological Innovation Protection Act, a tense pause, Magnetech Industries is hereby prohibited from developing or marketing energy storage technology for the next 5 years. The room exploded. A 5-year ban? That was worse than losing the case. It was a corporate death sentence. Victor Hammond bolted upright. You can't be serious, he shouted, his composure finally shattering. This is my company's entire future. You're killing us. Judge Whitmore's gaze was ice cold. No, Mr. Hammond, you did that to yourself. Hammond collapsed into his chair, his eyes staring into nothing. His empire, his legacy, was gone. Judge Whitmore turned to Musk. Mr. Musk, do you have any final remarks? Musk stood, adjusting his jacket. Your Honor, I didn't come here to destroy Magnetech. I came here because they tried to destroy us. Innovation isn't something you steal. It's something you earn. He let that sink in. That's all. Judge Whitmore gave a small nod, then slammed the gavel one final time. Court is adjourned. It was over, and Musk had won. The fall of a titan. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed like vultures. Mr. Musk, how does it feel to win? Was this your strategy all along? Will you pursue criminal charges against Hammond? Musk walked through the chaos, ignoring most of the questions. But when a journalist shouted, "Was this personal?" he stopped, turned, and said, "No comment." Then he stepped into his car, where Lila Carter was waiting. As the door closed, she exhaled in disbelief. Elon, that was insane. Do you realize what just happened? Musk looked out the window, watching as Victor Hammond tried to push through the press, his face a mix of rage and humiliation. Yeah, Musk said finally. He lost. Lila smirked. And you? Musk tilted his head slightly, considering that. I think I just proved a point. And with that, they drove away. A new chapter 2 months later. A black luxury car pulled up to a high-security research facility deep in Silicon Valley. Inside, Judge Charlotte Whitmore stepped out. Or rather, former Judge Charlotte Whitmore. She had retired from the bench just a month after the trial. It had been unexpected. No one knew why. But today she was about to reveal the reason. Lila Carter greeted her at the entrance. Judge Whitmore, it's good to see you again. The older woman smiled. It's just Charlotte now. Lila nodded. Elon's waiting for you in the lab. They walked through the facility, passing teams of engineers, data scientists, and inventors, all working on the next breakthrough. There was an energy here, something Charlotte hadn't felt in years. And then they entered a sleek, glass-walled office where Elon Musk was waiting. He stood as she entered. Charlotte, he greeted, extending a hand. She shook it. Elon, quite a place you've built here. We try. She raised an eyebrow. So why am I here? Musk sat down, pulling out a folder. Because I have a proposal for you. Charlotte crossed her arms. A job offer? Musk nodded. You understand both technology and the law. I need someone like that, someone who can protect innovation the right way. Charlotte hesitated. I haven't practiced law in years. Musk leaned forward. You don't need to. You just need to be you. A long pause. She looked at the folder, looked at Musk, then finally, all right, let's talk. And with that, a new alliance was formed, one that would shape the future of innovation far beyond the walls of a courtroom. Epilogue, the price of arrogance. Meanwhile, across town, in a darkened office, Victor Hammond sat at his empty desk, staring at a letter from Magnetech's board of directors. Termination of employment. It was over. His career, his reputation, his empire, all gone. And as he poured himself a final drink, he thought about the man who had beaten him. Elon Musk hadn't used money, or bribery, or deception. He had simply outthought everyone. Hammond downed his whiskey and let out a bitter laugh. Should have known better than to play chess against a man who builds rockets. He looked out the window one last time. And for the first time in his life, Victor Hammond realized he had lost everything. Final thought, the lesson of the trial. In the end, this case wasn't just about patents. It was about something much bigger. It was about the future of innovation. It proved that in a world where corporations steal, manipulate, and exploit, there will always be one person who fights back. And that person might just change the world.